cheating, wanting to keep Steve and Annalie, and I got all the answers right from the producer's mouth. Plus, we got the team you want to talk to. My name is Justin, season 27. I am joined by an esteemed panel tonight. Dr. James Earl Corley, how are you, sir?
Good. I'm still not convinced I am a doctor, so you keep saying
Well, at some point, I've seen you in scrubs quite often, so you do shop and get your scrubs
all
on.
part of the fantasy.
There you go. And, of course, we had to balance out this brawn with the beauty that is Jen Hudak. How you doing, Mama Jen?
Very good this week. Much better than last week. So
Wow.
I'm glad to be here.
All right. So in order to keep up with the intensity of these three panelists here who are all playing to win, we had to take the team that's on this season playing to win. And the sisters rub people the wrong way. And we're going to fix that tonight. Morgan, Lena, welcome to the show. How are you?
Great. Thank you for having us.
I feel you guys are getting a bum rap. I feel this season.
They are. They're getting a little bit of a bum rap. Can I do a really quick, off-the-cuff hot take about Morgan and Lena?
Go.
I don't mind the arguing because when you watch them, they're arguing, but they're still doing the task while they argue. I don't care if a team wants to yell at each other while they're still working on it.
Right.
Sometimes you just express emotions. The team that bothers me are the ones that stop to argue. That's the ones that I'm like, just keep arguing and keep walking.
Yeah.
Look, all I'm going to say is we were on our best behavior. We thought we were actually doing pretty damn good in general throughout the entire race. So to us, we're like, oh, that was it? We had 5 seconds of arguing. That's impressive. So we actually were not concerned at all with our arguing. We were not, in our point of view, fighting.
Well, that's that whole editing thing, right? They take the 4 days of footage and you get maybe 7 minutes of your total screen time that episode.
I'm the mean big sister. She's the little sister. We play the roles very well, but I think the 10 seconds that are shown, they're truly like a blip of our teamwork. So
I get to watch the episodes after all of New York. And so in this last episode 6, everyone's tweeting, they're like, oh my God, can the sisters stop fighting? What are they? And I'm thinking in my head, I'm like,
we did fight
I don't even remember fighting in India. I was like, we didn't have a fight in India. Cause I'm like, us bickering about how we're going to handle a situation. I feel like people who have sisters or siblings very close in age can understand because it's the only way that you can
communicate.
You guys weren't fighting. You were communicating. It's like
we're just communicating.
Yeah. Intensely. Cause it's an intense situation.
Yeah. And that's how you guys communicate in intense situations. You're not arguing. You're not yelling at each other. This is how we talk.
If we were arguing, there'd be a whole lot more words.
I'm sure her hair wasn't the only one to be. You'd be like, sister.
Yeah,
screw this. I'm the biggest sister.
But Morgan would literally be pulling me by my braid. She would be like, "Let's go."
Speaking of let's go. We're getting it started tonight. Steve Allen dropping a 20 banger, $20 to the Races Recap. We appreciate everything that you guys do to support the show. Thank you very much. We do this no matter what. Back when we weren't getting $5 for a show, we would still do this, and I put 5 hours into research and stuff. All right, anyway, Morgan and Lena, you guys did get spicy this episode, and we will get into that because things got spicy. That word just kept sticking in it, spicy, and whether you say you were communicating or not, at the pit stop, after it was all said and done, when you're getting interviewed at the end, I can see that you guys were a little upset with each other. Just the body language.
Wait, Morgan, who used the word spicy? I think it was Gregor John would or
Corey be like, it's a little spicy.
Ooh.
And so he started saying that people were spicy because at first I think he was referring to the food. And then because it was a lot for some of the cast, we loved it, but it was Indian food was a lot for some of the cast for many days.
Oof. You guys were there for 3 days, so you had to. We were
there for a hot minute.
I haven't quite reached the point of starvation yet. Around lead 8, 9, 10, you don't care what food they put in front of you. You starve.
People lost weight. I can't speak for Lena. I gained weight.
How did you gain weight? I lost 20 pounds in 20 days.
I know
No
that
way.
was the case.
No, I came back and my first thing my
We-
friends like saw me, they're like, we need to get you a cheeseburger.
You are
Jane,
not a
God,
big person to
Lena-
lose 20 pounds.
Yeah, no. Look, Lena was getting to the point where she would go to the snack table and swipe it like into our bag. At like it was getting to be aggressive because you didn't know what you were gonna eat.
Be
and I was like,
aggressive.
"Oh."
Like everyone after us would be like, "Wait, Lena, where did all the snacks go?" And I'm like,
We would
"It's in our
ration them out.
snack
We would
bag."
ration them out
Like,
afterward. Like,
yeah.
hey, you want these snacks? We have a lot. we can spare.
You know
some."
that vote U-turn's coming up, right? We got a bag full of snacks here.
We're like, "Do you want these dried mangoes?
Ooh, we like.
We'll
those
take your
guys.
vote."
Do you want to test your luck with that poo-poo platter there?
Right.
Because the sickest our season, one of our cast members at the starting line was just he drank something with ice cubes in it, and the water was just bad or something, and he was just and then he got U-turned that leg too. All right. Ray Fletcher dropping a 20 bang. He said, "You throw $19.99. Well, I'm gonna throw exactly $20 just to make sure I'm at the top of the list because I know Ray Fletcher has been at the top of the list all season, MVP status. He might as well just join the show. We might have to do one show where we get some of our loyal fans who have been here week in and week out to jump on and say hi to people, get their point of view."
That'd be fun.
So, Justin, back to your point about the spiciness.
Yes.
I'm trying to remember what was going on that she was making me upset.
Oh, I could tell you.
Because-
So, Morgan, we were doing
Fine. She
the
wanted to
flower
watch.
tying.
Yeah.
Oh,
She wanted to
Oh.
watch
Here's
the
the
demonstration,
here's
and
the
you were like,
craziest
Croc, give me the thing.
Here's the craziest part about it. We couldn't tell, like whether we were being like whether part of the check or the judge was the way
Tying
the
my
flower
bag
it was
correctly.
being tied. So we had like half the village watching us.
All men.
Well, Lean,
Tying the
rewind.
basket.
Rewind first. If we start with where we were that day, we were last. Yeah, we were last.
I could tell you every place you were in at every set.
We were last, and so we
Dead
had
last.
to really haul ass to get back in the game and to not be racing for
She's
last
gone.
place again.
Oh,
And so when we got to the flowers, am I here?
Yeah.
Okay, so when we were going to the flowers, like Lena said, we didn't know if we were getting checked on the carrying of the bag, and it wasn't just about the carrying of the bag. It was like, I mean, the how do you call it? The tying of the bag. But if you tied it correctly, then you were going to be able to carry it correctly.
Right.
They were heavy. I think the boys said, Liam and Yemi were like, they were like 50, 60 pounds. They were heavy.
Oh yeah.
And-
we just knew it was heavy.
Right. And so Lena was trying to rush me. And I was like, look, Miss Arts and Crafts, I don't tie things regularly. Stop rushing me. I need to watch. And she wouldn't give me a second to watch them. And I was getting really pissed because I'm like, I just need a second to watch. So she was getting real spicy and rushing me. And I was
Spicy.
getting pissed.
Getting spicy.
It's spicy. And then what they don't show is they show Lena like, I'm carrying these like grocery bags. Meanwhile, she actually dropped them after and I carried them to the
Oh.
top.
Oh, but she said she carried the heavier ones. Were hers
Like,
heavy?
one of mine's were definitely a little heavier. You can see our last Morgan and I are both at the point of exhaustion. Oh, by the way, when we're watching this, I'm watching Hot Pink Team put their flowers on the
On the
top
top.
of the
Which I'm
rickshaw.
like,
We have just packed our entire rickshaw. I mean, when Morgan and I sit in this rickshaw,
we're
we're like
riding on top.
going like this for the whole entire ride because we didn't know you could put anything on the top. And
We
we
wouldn't
were
have been
like,
able to reach Lena. They're tall. We're not.
yeah, but we're trying to get air. We're trying to breathe, and we're just in this rickshaw
Right.
like this.
Which
Hopefully, this
driving those
goes-
rickshaws are scary in the first
Look-
place. Just sitting naturally in the rickshaws are terrifying. So I can't even imagine like halfway out.
Look,
Yeah.
what they didn't show, Lena is talking big shit, carrying the bags.
Like the
Then-
Hulk, right? She was the Hulk.
Yeah.
the
And
Hulk.
then 30 seconds later, she can't carry them. And then I'm carrying all the bags.
All
which they-
four?
I ran back.
Morgan, we're like 10 feet away from the tuk-tuk now. So now they're on the floor. We're just trying to get them over.
Running, dragging. So I'm like, of course they don't show that. Cool. You know, 'cause I'm not the nice big sister. I'm the mean big sister. But they were wildly heavy bags.
All right, we're going to get to all the drama. We're going to do the recap, and I got a bunch of questions and some things we'll catch up to. But yes, you guys started out in last place. I have a graph, and you guys literally just kept, everywhere you went, just kept getting up and getting better and better, where other teams were like up and down, up and down. I'll post that graph. I'll post the graph when we get to that part. I have to copy and paste it. Didn't work. All right, so we're starting out, and this start was very it's very impressive when you look at the last leg, because Steve and Anna Lee had an hour lead on the second place team. You don't normally see a first place team separated by that much between the second place team. And that
the other thing is that from second to how many teams are left?
Ninth.
Was also an hour.
Correct.
So second to 9 are 1 hour, and 1 to 2 was 1 hour. That's crazy.
Yes.
When we lined up to start that day, Morgan and I just kind of looked at each other. And we're like, how are we gonna, like, how could it be possible for us to close this gap? And we start off every day really positive. We were super positive that day, but like watching all the other teams, because we can see them from like the hotel window, so we can see
Oh
them
God, you're just like watching them go.
And we're like little, you know, like it's not our call time yet because we're so far behind.
You're 2 hours behind the first place team.
What was the timing of the vote? Was the vote like right before you guys started the leg, or was it like the day before? When was it?
It was like the day before.
Okay.
Because it was, because we had some overlap.
I mean, you can just see from their clothing, like, you know, people have different clothing items on.
That's why it was just weird that, and you guys came up from behind, and so it seemed like you guys were, I don't know, it was just like weird, and nobody was in a hurry. So it wasn't like there was any timing involved. You just sat there and you talk, and everybody took their time. So it just felt like that was like filmed at a different time. Because if it was filmed during the race, everybody would be like, and just gone. And then you would talk about it in the tuk-tuk.
No, it
I
wasn't.
think that was like a new element of the race, is like not having the U-turn have to be made in like real time.
Yeah, I think they wanted to.
Kind of stressful, because then it's like, you really got to think about it. So it almost like stings a little bit more if you're getting U-turn, because you're not doing it in the heat of the moment, and you're doing it like with a lot of time to think and process.
But it's also mandatory. You don't have some ways you're like, I don't know. I feel like that takes away some of the sting, because they're making you vote. You got to vote for somebody. So
I think the weird part about it too is you didn't get this moment where maybe 2 or 3 teams were standing at the U-turn board and they could join together and decide to vote. So, you know, I think when we look back on this episode, there are things that we would have done differently, but like there was no time or space to have conversations with other teams and plan.
Especially not for us that were last.
I mean, when we saw ourselves in the middle picture of the U-turn board, I was like, what are you guys trying to do here?
Oh yeah, we were like
in the middle.
Like we were smack dab in the middle. We were like, you know what? We're so far behind. Why would anyone want to touch us? Even though honestly, like me and Morgan, if I would have made a vote for a team, I would have been like, yo, like Morgan and Lena race really fast, and every now and then they trip in front of themselves. Like, why don't we give them something to trip on? And then they're just I mean, that would have been a hard day for us. That was a hard day for Steve and Annalie.
Was there any talking amongst teams beforehand, knowing that there was a U-turn, about any strategies or nothing?
We didn't know when the U-turn was going to. Well, you found out at the map, and it was like, and at that point, you can't talk to anybody. So that was it. So it was kind of what you wanted to make of it, because you couldn't collaborate with other teams.
I mean, we were kind of hoping that like teams wouldn't vote for Steve and Annalie, because Steve and Annalie were literally so far.
Well,
this leg of all legs.
It's kind of a waste of a vote.
It seemed weird to vote for a team that had such a head start when you don't know where an equalizer.
I disagree with that though, because that lead they can just keep the lead going into the next leg and the next leg and the next leg. And if they're a strong team, like taking them back a few notches, I feel like isn't a bad strategy.
Yeah.
Depending on who you are.
I just don't think it hurt them by
because look, if you're us, I want someone to buffer us, right? Because our only job is to make it. Where'd Lena go? She's lost. Our only job is to make it to the mat and not be last until the finale. That's our only job, not
Right.
be last. And so if you're us, it's like, yeah, I want someone to be permanently stuck behind us. But I think for the teams that were up at the front, they're like, I'm trying to get number one.
Yeah.
And I make a chance to. So I want to knock Stephen and Annalie down a couple pegs.
And I think this is the first time we saw it in place too. So people didn't really know what to do with it. If I'm watching it now and I'm put in that situation, you know what I'm voting for is Rob and Corey.
Let me tell you something. Rob and Corey, I called them the silent killers the entire race because they were so fast.
Yeah.
And you really didn't know where they were. Like if you were not racing side by side with them, you had no idea where they were. Like the whole race.
Yeah.
So to me, like they were, I think what's not portrayed very well. I think Corey and Rob are portrayed very well for their level of strategy and the way that they compete. You see how crazy strong Rob is. Like he is fantastic. And Corey's just the sweetest human being in the whole world. I think Steve and Annalie are being portrayed really poorly in order to fit that U-turn character where like Steve and Annalie were just, they were badass. They were strategic.
Yeah.
They were just moving on a cliff. So it wasn't even about personality. People were voting them off because they were like, damn, they're good. And we're watching them compete and we don't want to be competing against them. And so that's why like, I think the public is seeing it more like Annalise being bitchy and like, she's like the biggest.
She's a badass. I've said it since week one.
Yeah. But they were U-turn because they were kicking ass, not because Annalise mean. No.
Yeah. No, I don't think it had anything to do with Annalie being mean. I think, yeah. And this is
the question.
Yes.
Robin and Chelsea are not kicking ass. Like I know they got first once.
Yeah.
Everything else is real low. So I know some people are like, Robin and Chelsea are super strong, so we're going to vote for them. Was that the truth?
No.
I didn't think so.
No, they asked us, it's funny how they do the very long interviews after, and you see like not even 10 seconds of them. I think for us, when they kept asking us who do you have an alliance with, it was never do you have an alliance? It was more so like, who do we really get along with and actually like spending time with? Because you're traveling with these people. You're getting to travel the world with your castmates. And I think for us, we just weren't close with Robin and Chelsea. And they stereotyped us and most of the cast. And they were the least friendly. And so when you saw the U-turn board, that was what that was about. It was not about their strength on the race. You know.
Yeah. I also just want to say, I think in comparison, especially as the race has evolved, the way that they do casting for the race and the type of people that are casted on the show, like I think when you watch the show now, it doesn't have as many of these like boisterous or like mean characters or people like these real villains. So being able to like have a lot of castmates that were kind, cordial, and nice to race with doesn't mean they weren't tough racers. They were just nice humans. Right. So we never expected like people to give up like their first place or whatever to go help you. But we all tried to be like cordial and nice people because it's one thing to race and it's another thing to not be nice.
Yeah. I think in general, I mean, there's exceptions of just awful people that have raced. But in general, some of the people that are villains aren't villains. Justin's like, he's the villain of our season. He's not a villain. He is an annoying person to compete against. And I feel like that's a fair statement to say.
No, that's 100% fair. Yeah. I'm annoying in general, but when you compete against me, yeah, especially when I'm having a really good time.
Tactic.
Like I'm a little, I'm just like my children. Like if you look at a child, they just live every day to have a great time. All they want to do is have fun. That was
Well,
me
that
on the
was
race.
us. That was us the morning of every race day.
The morning, as soon as we
I love
started.
when they start every episode with me and Morgan going, we're just trying to have fun. We're just trying to laugh with each other. And then the next cut from us is like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this?
So let's be honest. They have the footage to make all 5 of us in this screen villains. They could have made any one of us a villain.
1000%.
Oh, they could have made me
Especially
a
Jen.
snarky bitch. I watched it back. I'm like, I don't swear one time this whole entire thing. I think I was bleeped out once. I'm like,
That's
all those times I'm yelling at Christy to slow down, like none of that's in there. It's like,
Yeah. Meanwhile, every time me and Diane were heated, it was just.
I mean, part of that is editing too.
Yeah.
And I think what cracks me up with people love calling it like the Chaos Sisters, and oh my gosh, there's so much chaos in it. Like I love Thursday mornings, like reading what everybody's writing. But I think for us, like we would literally argue more at the pit stops off camera, like about getting ready for our interview more than like actually racing. Like we were so proud of how we raced, because we can argue a lot normally about anything, and it was really cool to actually be doing tasks together, because like we get a lot of stuff done in our individual lives, so to do things together was a very different dynamic. But it's very funny seeing like our normal personality traits like pop through. My mom's like, oh, this is you guys to a T. And I'm like, really? I thought we were really under control for the most part, you know? So
You know, our mom also told us too. She was like, you know, you guys really only communicate by saying like Morgan and Lena. Like it's like the first word that comes out of your mouth. They're like, Morgan, go faster. Morgan, slow down. And now when I watch the show, I feel like it's the same thing with Anna Lee when she's talking to her dad. And what is it? What's the saying that she says? Come on, Dad.
right.
Like me and Morgan have the same exact thing. We're like Morgan and Lena, and like Annalie's always like, "Come on, Dad." It's just the way we're like trying to get each other's attention.
All right, let's speed through this and we'll have some fun. Liam and Jeremy, which team is more likely to help them? That was what they kind of determined their U-turn vote by. That I don't know if that's a great strategy. Maybe for them it's a strategy. Normally, the strategy is you vote for the team that is near the bottom to make sure that they're out and you stay, or you vote for a team that's always been at the top to make sure that you have a chance to get to the top. Those are really the only two reasons you should use U-turns, right? To save.
Morgan and I were so nice that everyone just kind of didn't go for us. Like that was no, but that was like one of our strategies in racing was to make sure that we were nice people, because it was very easy for me and Morgan, like being in quotation marks like called the city girls, like for us to not have commonalities with all of the other teams. So we knew that the number one thing that we could do to at least protect ourselves was to have friends, because friends try not to U-turn their friends. But we were in 9th place, so we should have been really like
technically you were the team that everybody should have been U-turning.
Technically.
Yeah, but you weren't.
So we did a lot of good work on the flip side of getting to leave us out of combo.
So Joel and Garrett, they voted by which team they thought could beat them in the finals, which is also another way to vote. Steve and Anna Lee looked like they voted out of anger. Rob and Corey, also they were voting for one of the top teams was their strategy. Morgan and Lena say teams that have been running with them. That's kind of the way you worded it. The teams that we have been running with.
Well, because we were unfortunately, after our severe mess up at the mural activity, we were considered being at the bottom. And it's like, I think what's frustrating when you watch us is there are so many moments where we are in top 3 and we make one mistake.
Yeah.
That puts us down at the bottom.
Goals in 10 minutes.
Yeah. Like people don't understand how fast
we
we
would have
did.
given Annalie and Steve a run for their money for first place if we would have picked the dolls over the murals.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah. I mean, these little things make the biggest difference on a leg, which is why this leg is so impressive for.
Sorry, I had a thought to last week. I did talk a little shit about y'all a little bit, so I'm just owning up to it. because I was like, why have a rule if you're not going to stick with the rule? So I did talk some shit.
All right, let's
Yeah.
get to that 25-minute rule.
Our own rule?
Let me tell you what was going on there. We were gonna do the puppets, but then the Franklin brothers were next to us, and we were like, you know what? Why don't we go do whatever we're gonna do together? Because if it's something big, and I don't know what we thought it was gonna be, but if we're together, it'll probably be better. So we go to the mural. We've got the wrong clothes in the wrong boxes. We only see one side of
Props.
the props. We also didn't realize we tried to pick the closest mural to where we thought the only props were. We didn't realize there were props on the other side of this humongous plaza. So we start doing this test. We don't realize that there's props on the other side. We don't realize that we chose white on white. So like everyone else had brightly colored paintings. What I don't think people realize, which is why we never finished and everyone else did, was our mural was white on white. So the little pieces that popped on a red dress or popped on a blue, green, yellow, whatever, ours was literally white on white, almost gray on white. So you seeing the details, they were so minute, we couldn't even tell like what the earring situation was. Like we
got that, but if you have a rule, why not follow it?
So we make this incredible rule, right? And the rule, honestly,
Weird
it
rule.
It can save you. It can save you from a lot of different situations. It's just called like get out of the detour before you notice you're knee deep in the detour and not going anywhere.
Right.
But there's also this thing that it's like it's a feeling. It's a feeling of you're only one check away from being done, right?
Yeah.
And so I think this is where personality comes in. So every time we get a check, Morgan's like, let's not leave. She's like, we're one check away. And I'm like, okay. Right. And then the checks start taking longer because the checker is like, older in age, like he's got to walk across this giant plaza. Now it's taking more time. And now we haven't seen anybody from the dolls. So according to our rule, the dolls is easier. And like I'm telling Morgan, I'm like, we've got to figure this out.
I said one more time. Okay. I said, let's just do one more, Lena. But it took him another 15 minutes basically to come back and check us.
Damn.
And then when we didn't get it, like what they don't show is we were checked Lena, 10 to 15 times. Like,
and we thought at one point it was the earring. We thought we were putting the clothes on wrong, like because we had looked at a lot of a lot of the other pieces.
I did it.
And we're seeing, yeah. So I think, like I said in the show, I think a big part of it was my ego because I'm like, we cannot be that far.
Yeah, that
Like,
it
how
does
far
get to you.
And
All I had
we
to do in my challenge
far.
was turn it over. And instead of just turning it over, I took the whole thing apart again and started from the beginning. And
I think Jen comes us all here.
And also, it was really scary.
and don't even ask Jen about her finale. Yeah.
It was scary for us to leave and go to the dolls because as much as we knew the teams had not been back from the dolls, we also didn't know if it was taking them 30 minutes or 15 minutes or 45. And as I said, we finished the dolls in about 10 minutes. I mean,
Damn.
we were literally in and out of there.
That's a
and that was
incredible. You could not do the murals in less than 30 to 45 minutes. Because for you to just physically, you could only take one piece at a time. You had to run them back and forth.
Oh, wow.
You could not do it in less than 30 minutes. We did the dolls in 10, maybe 15 if you want to be gracious. And like Lena almost took my eye out because I was hovering over her.
Oh,
we are
yeah.
so happy with 2 eyes.
That would have been a very sad way to leave the race. And that would have really just ruined the entire experience for me.
For both of you. You guys would have been really
I would have never heard the end of it. Like Morgan would have been like, never talk about the amazing race again. I can't see out of my eye.
Fair. Like if she lost an eye and you're out of the race.
All right, we haven't even started this recap yet, and it's 30 minutes in.
Sorry, I'm making us off the rails.
She was losing an eye.
Yeah, well, we can finish this and get to all the stuff. All right, so you guys start the leg with 1,000 rupees. Oh, there it is, right in the eye. It did actually connect with flesh.
Oh, yeah.
It did connect with flesh.
Someone paused it and
Why
zoomed
were
in.
you hovering? Why were you hovering?
I was ready to get out of there. I'm
Guys.
going to make sure we make it.
It
make
is your
it home,
fault. It's not hers.
You know?
It is your fault. You got 1,000 rupees to start this leg, which is $12. But you also got the greatest thing ever, a cab that's already paid for. We'll get to those. Steve and Annalise taxi going the wrong. Why? They took him to the wrong place. The other place is about a half a mile for walking distance. India is the land of beautiful mustaches with Joel and Garrett. We find that out. And we hear a lot of out-of-towners. We hear a lot of that going on this week.
Where did this come from?
I don't
We don't
know,
know
but my boyfriend's made it very clear they're his favorite team. He's like, I love them. Like,
I wish we had a good catch line like that.
we had no good
Can I
ones.
ask a question? At any point, did someone from India go like, "Oh my God, they're not from here"? As they're like going around in bright pink clothes with camera crews, and someone's like, "Oh my God, they're not native. They're not here."
I wish we had seen them do that in person because I think I would have actually like fell on the floor laughing.
It's hilarious. Don't get me wrong, but like, where did I just like came out of nowhere?
I think it's part of having
He's done it multiple times.
Right.
Oh, has she? I'd not.
Yeah.
thought of
Yeah.
it. This is so present in this episode. Like I
Yeah.
brushed over in the previous, but she said it like 40 times this episode.
Yeah, it was.
Catchphrase.
That's why it should have been the name of the episode.
Right.
It should have been out of towners. All right. So, all right, let's get to the telescopic monocular. I like when they do little things like this for route infos, which this leg had a lot of running around from left to right, up and down, north and south. This was a all over the place kind of leg. It had a lot of route infos.
But I think that's why you saw a lot of changes in position. So from a lead design, it's amazing.
Yeah, it gives teams a real chance to mess up, and gives the teams that get the edge here, a minute here, 5 minutes here, 6 minutes there. By the time you're done, now you have a 30-minute lead. So I love when they do stuff like this. Just like taking that one little monocular, trying to find it, could separate teams by another 5 minutes, give an extra team an extra 5 minutes. Some teams will fall back by 10 minutes just from something simple like this. It's not dumb like going around the damn cow. Like that doesn't serve a purpose. At least this, people are going to have a little trouble finding it out, right?
Yeah,
I don't think that the actual doing the monocular wasn't really the hard part. I think what made that more complicated, and I don't even think a lot of this got onto the show, is either you found that shoe place or you didn't. And then it was just a guy standing there next to some random monoculars. It was very hard to, it was very easy to just completely go past it.
Yeah.
How long
So
did that
I
take?
think
I love that for a lead design.
the binoculars took like 5 minutes to get to the location. Probably like everything was like a 20-25 minute ride for the most part.
It was actually 1 minute. I mean 1 mile, but the 20 minutes. Yeah.
That was the last time we saw Liam and Yermi at the monoculars.
Yes.
And they were never seen again.
That's the last time anyone
Like again, we knew that we were racing as long as we were ahead of Liam and Yermi. And then we just had no idea what happened to them post the monoculars.
All right.
And we were
So
hustling.
many people not understand what it literally says in the clue, telescoping monocular, like the telescoping part that you pull it out. Why did people not figure this out?
Honestly, I think people were just stressed. Like, I think a lot of us were hoping that we were leaving India and didn't have another race day in India because
India's
it was
rough.
brutally hot.
Yeah.
The day
We had two
before,
legs.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
two legs. So we have a lot of these double legs. They're exhausting, and I think people were really hoping like we were getting on a flight to leave. And instead, it's like, oh no, you're gonna go get in the crowd on the
Mm.
ground, and it ended up being our most. I mean, no, Vietnam was grueling, but this was like in terms of just repetitive. Like you have a task to do every second. It was
Yeah.
really tough.
I
But I
was
think people
surprised
just
you didn't have to race in India at night. That is
Oh, I couldn't even imagine.
Clear
The
rift
two
high.
cities that I was kind of scared to go to as a racer was India and
And
I
China.
think Vietnam or Thailand, wherever they had those people do the light up dances and,
That
and the
was South
fishing.
Korea, wasn't that? No.
No. It was either Vietnam or Thailand. My point is like we made it to two of the cities that I think like there's such big cultural differences there that there's hardly a leg up unless you end up with somebody that can speak the language, like a team
Yeah,
that can speak the
agreed.
language. It's just of that, background. But being in India was like it was an even playing field for all the teams because none of us spoke the language. None of us had a leg up there.
But Jen, they should have gotten monocular telescope. It was not that complicated. It was more complicated trying to quickly like find the actual note and then write it. Because when you heard people like they're like JHO, like we didn't even know what we were really reading. So it was like people were just writing letters down, which didn't really help. And then the next part was on foot. So it was just I think it just stressful.
Yeah. So right now on the screen is the map of what the route looked like, and it's just like all over the place. If you want to check that out, and if you want to see what the placements were throughout the whole leg, you can kind of see that this chart here has the placements on where everybody goes and how you switch. And it seems like the big switches happened at the market into the detour, and then that's where the detour just really just jumbled everything up. So we'll see.
Because then it became the luck of your driver.
Yes, we will have the drivers were the worst drivers in the history of this race, and we'll get to that because that's where we're going now. You go to a parking lot and you got to push stuff around, which again was another little task that wasn't really much, but it separates teams. It wears you out.
It makes you a little more tired, right? It's just that little more stress.
Yep.
It was only enough tuk-tuk drivers, rickshaw drivers for the team. So we had a 50-50 chance of getting Liam and Yermi's driver.
Oh, wow.
Liam and Yermi, we were looking for the rickshaws at the same exact time.
Yep.
Well, and it seemed
hard
like
to find them when you get there later as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is. And that's something that we experienced in different parts of the race is just sometimes when you're with like the whole group, it's easier to find things. And then when you're by yourself, it becomes 1 in a sea of 100 instead of 10 in a sea of 100.
Because this is one of those challenges too, where I think it innately builds in some advantage for the teams that are in the front, but I think it's fair. So it's one of those things where like you show up early, you get there earlier, you have more options, more choices. It's easier to push them out. You can get one on the edges.
Right. But you still don't know what you're gonna get.
It's a slight advantage, but it's not game breaking. It's a reward for getting there first.
I'm okay with that. I like those little things.
We thought at the beginning of the day that our driver was actually slow, like because she started driving, and we were like, "We're not going anywhere today because she's just driving casually." But then we found out that she was actually doing very well at getting from location to location. And we didn't make it to every location like first time around. But what we did do is just try and support our driver and give her space to get instructions in the time that was necessary for her.
Yeah.
Like that was something that we did that I think other teams were just really frustrated.
It's like it's funny that they didn't really show us interacting with our driver. We were super positive with her the entire day. So like every time we made it, super happy. Like even on the way, if she stopped to get directions, we were very supportive. Like whatever you need to do, cool. And she's like, okay, thank you. So we had a very good relationship with our driver, and I think it helped a lot because there were a lot of opportunities to go to the wrong place.
Yeah, this was definitely.
She did drive to the wrong location, but even if we went to the wrong location, we didn't put that stress on her. We just gave her the time to try and reconvene.
Yeah, because you don't want to put them into a corner because then they have no reason to have the drive that you do. Like you are racing for the $1 million. So like if you piss them off, they'll just shut down. Like they don't have that much investment in this.
Yep.
Yeah, so there's a question. I didn't notice this, but I'm gonna guess no. It says Morgan and Lena, did you and Jeremy and Liam take a tuk-tuk that didn't have a flag on it, a race flag? It wasn't marked, and therefore got a penalty because that's what it looked like. I'm gonna say no because I think the only tuk-tuk pink drivers were.
I thought this too because Jeremy and Liam's tuk-tuk looked different than it didn't have that visor. There's one shot where you can see the marking and it's lower down on there's like a circle logo area on the tuk-tuk and you can see it because I thought the same thing. I'm like, oh my god, they don't have a marked tuk-tuk. They're gonna get to the pit stop and then have a penalty and like it's gonna be this whole thing, and it wasn't, and they went home anyway. But
they had a very tough time finding that tuk-tuk because we got there at the same time. And we left like quite a few minutes before they did.
Wow. Like, so you even got a lead out of that place. Like they seemed like they were slow at everything. Like they were just casual having a good time.
Yeah,
Well,
we
no,
never knew what was going on with them, to be honest. So this is our first time seeing how they actually race because we never actually saw them.
It did
really
seem a
race.
little too zen for my taste. You weren't the most zen people on the race. The brother sister at the very start who couldn't make a decision.
Listen, yeah, I love that they highlighted the female. Sorry.
Liam and I, like when we were looking for the tuk tuks, Liam and I were going like neck and neck, and then I just started like a break for it run because I didn't want him looking at the same places that I was looking at, and then I found our tuk tuk like 5
And
seconds.
wait, no. And if you read the clue very closely, it said, put your items, put your backpack in the tuk tuk to claim it. And so we were just pushing the tuk tuk. But Liam and Jeremy technically
Could have put their bags in the
tuk
tuk tuk and taken the tuk tuk while we were pushing.
So there was a
Read
point
close.
where Lena was like, put your shit in the tuk tuk. Like, you got to do it right now. Because we were reading the clue and pushing, and we realized like they could have taken.
That'd been so funny, but I can't see that as their personality.
No,
They wouldn't have done that to you, but
I
there's
mean,
a
at
lot
that
of teams
point,
that would've.
desperation can make you do a lot of things.
Yeah, desperation can definitely make you do stuff on the race that is out of character. So let's talk about this. This is one of the things that kind of pissed me off, and I hate that they do this now for some reason. The U-turn board. They tell you that you're U-turned before you even do one part of the U-turn. I hate that. I think you should have to finish one part of the detour and then find out that you're U-turned. I think it just hits so different and really fucks your brain after that. Whereas this, you get in a whole mindset from the beginning. How do you guys feel about that?
It's a trick. I didn't think about that, but I somewhat agree, right? Because when you know ahead of time, then you can be more strategic on how you're going to execute both. But traditionally, the way that the race was, executed, you didn't have that opportunity. So that's actually that's a very interesting, I think, and valid point.
Jen, what do you think?
I like that.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think, especially on a leg like this where there's so much traveling around, and to know in advance, if you were smart, you could be strategic in which detour you went to first, and how you're conserving energy, and even just the mental part of like, okay, we got to like buckle down and we got to be really on it. If you didn't know, you might have been a little more nonchalant.
Yeah, but if none of the teams know when they're finishing the first part of the detour, every team is still stressed out doing that first part of the detour. So it changes every team's mindset.
Nobody knows. You're right. Yeah, it affects every team. I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
The one thing I will say as a counterpoint is it was a single U-turn. I think if you're going to do a double U-turn, right? So if it's Robin and Chelsea and Stephen Emily, right? So if it's that, I'm okay with it being after the U-turn. I think it's also like a little bit of two-punch whammy if it's a single U-turn.
Okay.
So like you're putting one team at an advantage and they're finding out late.
I did text one of the producers during the show.
I don't disagree with y'all necessarily, but I'm just also trying to think of being in Stephen Emily's position.
Hey, let me tell you, that was a hard day.
It's a hard leg. It's just hot there. It's hard to travel there.
That Stephen and Ali picked the flowers first, actually, because I would have preferred to do the harder activity when I had the most energy.
And then look at how, but no, cut the bullshit. They delivered faster than every other team from what it looks like in the cut.
We saw Stephen and
they did a whole part of the detour. If they had gone to the initial market, I imagine they would have shown up at the other detour with the other team. So they wouldn't have shown up at the same time, but they've probably been 5-10 minutes behind them.
Yes. Yeah. And whatever directions they got, you saw they had a straightaway to the delivery area where a lot of the teams struggled to deliver. So at the end of the day, I think it's just a testament to Steve and Annalise racing capabilities. Because they
at the same time, I'm sorry, you didn't finish a task. Yeah. You didn't realize you had to bring your receipts back. And to kind of counter Justin a little bit, the fact that they knew they were U-turned made them a little frantic, I think.
But yes, one team.
So it did. So in some ways, it kind of worked against them.
It was the first time she cracked.
So
Yeah.
just to back up
They're
there.
great. She in
Sorry.
particular is a very strong racer. She's
Yeah.
dragging
Well, I
her
said
dad
she's
along with her.
individually the
Just
strongest
just to
of the
be
season. I'm sorry,
fair,
Lena,
to
but
be
I think
fair to
individually
Anna
she was the
Lee.
strongest racer of the season.
Yeah, to be
Yeah.
fair to Anna Lee, she had asked if they needed to go give the receipt back before going to the next one, and they said no. And then they
Who
came
said
back.
no?
Whatever the producers told her, they told her she did not have to go bring the receipt back to finish the task and that they could go. And then when they got to the other task, they told them they had to go back. So she asked.
Ooh.
She didn't ask once, she asked multiple times. And she told
Ooh.
us that the next day, she's like, I asked multiple times. And they told me I didn't have to return the receipt.
Oh,
And so
well, hold on. I'm gonna say that if you ask, they're not allowed to answer.
They aren't allowed to tell you.
producers-
They can tell you to read your clue.
They can't tell you the answer. So I'm gonna say bullshit on that. I'm calling bullshit on that. If she wants to come on this show, if she wants to
But
come on the
she
show and
was-
talk about it, because
I
I'm gonna
remember
say
she was very upset because she was like, because they were, to your point, Justin, on
I mean, I just
when
want
you
to
know your U-turn.
I just want to chime in here.
Hold on, Lena. When you know your U-turns,
yeah.
they had time to be more strategic, right?
Okay.
On how they were going to complete the task.
Right.
And technically, if you think about the rules of the game, right, you can leave and do any detour at whatever time you want. So I don't know, because we weren't U-turned, what the specifics of a U-turn completion, because to your point, when you get U-turned after completing a task, then you know you have to go do the other one. But on any other detour, if we left into the dolls and didn't complete it and went back to the mural, that would have been okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the U-turn.
I spoke to the producer and figured we got that. I got that worked out. We'll get to that in a second.
I just want to point out too that, like, I think when we think about how Anna Lee races, like, she is the racer that picked out a ticket number to get an earlier boat time. Like, she's reading these clues for the most part pretty efficiently. Like, I think she's only read one clue wrong so far, and she's thinking about how this race is run and like where there might be a gray area or space for her to make up time. And so I think a lot of people were like looking at Anna Lee like, oh, how did she forget the receipts? But like, she was just trying to play smarter.
Yeah.
And like, I can't be mad at a racer for trying to make sure that she's not like overextending herself if there's a way for her to just keep going. And I think because they're receipts, it just made it really weird for everybody because she's holding.
That's why she was so angry, because she's like, hello. So she definitely didn't forget. On the record, she did not forget to return the receipts.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a strategic play.
All right. So, I text one of the producers about the U-turn board, and he said he sent a GIF. Basically, like, I'll think about it, or I'm very intrigued, or a good idea type of thing. I don't want to give out all his words, but yeah, basically, I think next season we'll see the change. Well, not next season, because it depends on which season they air. I also talked to about the U-turn. So
that's public information, is it?
Let's get to the good stuff. All right, so they go to the U-turn. They finish one part of the detour, and then they go to the second part of the detour, which is the bricks. And before they even begin the bricks, a judge or a local producer steps in and tells them, you can't start because you didn't finish the last task. And then internet went shit wild. I went crazy. I'm like, listen, that's BS. They should be told at the finish line that they have to go back and finish the detour.
Yeah.
Because that's what happened in past season.
But for sure. Yeah.
But we weren't really thinking, because the only time that's ever happened in the history of the race is when people find the clue box by accident. And they get to rip the clue and they go to another place. That's the only reason they're even allowed to know where the next place is. Or they find the next place by accident, or they find Phil by accident. If they got to the bricks and they finished the bricks, they would have to go back to the same place she was to hand the cart back.
See, that's what I think should have happened, and I think the internet wouldn't have lost their mind. It's like at Brits, they finish Brits, they think they're done, and they're like, well, you haven't completed one of the detours.
Right, which is what they would normally do. But because of a production timing thing, they said it genuinely wouldn't made of a difference whether they knew before or after. Either way, they got to come back to the same point after dropping off the receipt. So if they did it
I
beforehand,
think
or
if they do that, people don't lose their
I
mind.
mean, they would have realized they didn't have like the.
Well, they would have
the
been told.
final clue.
they would have
Yeah.
told you because you can't. They said we can't give you the clue because you haven't finished the detour, and they would have. So they would have told them then the same exact thing they told them, but except they told them right beforehand because of some
Which
production
makes
thing.
me more flustered because if they didn't forget, which they didn't,
Yeah.
then they would have just married their way back to that place.
If they didn't
after-
try to gain an advantage by not completing the task, then yes. Because the task did say return your receipts, which she didn't do.
The task said it. I mean, it said
It was written on the clue box. But yes, I understand. I understand if you ask and they tell you that, but I'm gonna say the wording of the answers were probably more of the lines of things that they can't give you the answer to, like I don't know, or maybe, or I don't know.
But the way that I see it is you can complete the detour either side when you want to complete it.
That is,
So
I
You
agree with
can.
you on that point.
so just in terms of, and I think
But you can't get your next clue until you complete both sides of the detour.
I think-
1,000%.
Justin, like what you said is they'll be more clear with it.
Yeah.
Like, we had a situation in episode 2 where we lost 5 or 6 minutes and they had to like clarify to all of the racers that, they wouldn't be penalized for this because they weren't clear about it before the actual full race started. And like, they didn't want that to happen again because again, it like the viewers can't follow these timelines if like racers don't understand what's going on. So I think you're speaking the right thing is they'll probably be very crystal clear about that in the next season.
Yeah, I think.
Right, we're moving on.
Yeah, I think no. Plus, I'm also catching up on the chat. It's hard to catch up on the chat. There's a lot of pops going on. There's a lot of stuff. So I love that they highlighted the female drivers, but these are the worst drivers in the history of the race, hands down. This is the worst part of the episode for me is forcing teams because when you have a marked cab, you can't switch it. There's nothing you could do. You're stuck.
Yeah.
The only thing that you could do, and this is the only thing, and you'd have to be slick with it, would be somehow make the thing malfunction, and then they would get you another cab driver, which has happened in the past, or get a flat tire, or
Flat tire. Yep.
Now everyone has so much to say about these rickshaw drivers.
yeah.
Our boat driver,
Here we go with the boats.
truly the worst. Like if you wanted to give it a comparison, Liam and Yermi's rickshaw was equivalent to the boat we got on, and there was nothing we could do about it.
Yeah.
I think it just really comes down. It truly comes down to the luck of the race, and like the number one rule of you live and die by your taxi. Your taxi can be the reason you win $1 million, or literally don't get to the mat. Like,
Yeah.
I think like everybody, it's just something that happens on the race. Like if you get through an entire amazing race season and you didn't get a bad driver at some point, you're the luckiest racer in the world.
100%. I've said it before. It's 90% skill, 10% luck.
Oh yeah.
Mom and I died. It wasn't even on our lead. Mom and I got eliminated on the following lead because of a taxi driver the previous
leg, yeah.
No, but it happens. But I think being in Jaipur and being in the bazaars, right? There's a lot of stalls. It is super complicated. And I don't know truly, like we were going to very random places. I don't know if it were a different rickshaw company, if collectively it would have been a better experience.
Right.
Well, I still think you're going to have the range. I still think you're going to have the good drivers and the bad drivers, no matter what you do, right? You're putting 9 different taxi drivers. Some are going to suck. Some are going to be okay. Some are going to be great.
And the places were hard. They weren't even
A lot of
necessarily
people were like, if the producers are picking the drivers, like they should be competent, but it's like it's still random.
Yeah.
So
Now-
what are they like? It's not fair for them to tell the drivers where they're driving to. That's not a part of the race.
Yeah.
I wish our boat driver would have, I don't know, driven to drop us off after the express pass, and instead he just sat there on the phone. So like, you don't have control over a lot of things.
Every one of us has had a bad cab on this, and it's cost us various.
It hurt.
And we-
And those
like, we
memories
just- we-
never go away. I want you to know that. Those live with you for a decade.
Yeah, they do.
Feel bad that like Liam and Jeremy had such a bad rickshaw driver, but they also weren't the only team with a bad rickshaw
Right.
driver.
No. I think
Had bad rickshaw driver.
Here's a couple
critique
things.
of them though is they are still a very passive team. Like you're in the back of the pack.
Yeah, they're
Mom and I were
super
there
passive.
a lot.
Or
Mom and I
even
fought,
taking,
clawed, and like
yes,
scratched our way
you
as long
gotta
as we
take
could.
initiative. If you're a driver, there are people with GPS on their phones.
Yep.
If you've got to sit there and write the directions yourself and say,
5 more minutes.
that's right, then
Yep.
you do that. You know, so like if you have a perpetually bad driver, like our driver stopped to get directions and we would double check, hey, are you sure she knows where she's going? You're clear? Great, great. Like, but if you need to sit there and handwrite directions like we do on lots of different parts of the race, then that's what they should have done, or at
And
least
here's the
try.
thing, if they're still trying that hard too, then like, yeah, it just sucks they got a bad driver. But they are so, and maybe we're just seeing the footage of them being passive, but I felt like they were just like, we're in the back, it's all right. We're
Yeah.
producing.
I think you also get a little defeated when you have that bad of a driver. Like it's so if you don't know how to handle it, it's out of your space. Like before Morgan and I went to the printmaking, we almost got really amazing race lost because we were convinced that we needed to like go to a totally different area. And then, you know, we happened to find the printmaking within 5 minutes. But if we would have made a few more turns, we would have been just riding around the city. So we get it, but we made our driver keep stopping for directions when we felt like we were getting lost. We were like, to keep stopping.
Yeah.
So here's one thing I'm going to say about India. If you've never been to India, it is very weird for females there. Because you look around and there's no females. The females are like in windows up above on like second and third floors. So it is such a weird time. Like our season, the girls were getting like touched by people.
Oh, there's a reason. Like if you go back and watch my season, like I'm like ripping on the mom the whole time because I did not want her to get lost in this crowd.
They're crazy, and they don't treat women with the same respect they treat men in India. So I'm gonna say that like the women are probably a little more passive driving than the men are because of the way their society is. It's not like a knock on the women or whatever, but it's just like a society.
Our drivers were afraid to ask for directions. They didn't just stop anywhere. Like to be clear, they would look at the man and they would try and figure out how much danger they would be in by asking for directions. So we watched our driver pass up multiple people who we thought could give directions, but we had to trust that she was driving past that person because it was either going to be uncomfortable for her or unsafe for all of us.
Yeah, and especially as we were female racers, like you can feel the tension from the locals.
Yeah,
it's just uncomfortable, and so I think that's also why we were trying to be positive because it's almost like we were shining a light on our driver, having a camera crew. You have 2 Black women running around India. It's like we wanted to be safe, and we knew we were safe in general, but like it's an uncomfortable feeling.
Well, Morgan, that's why they're announcing themselves as out of towners.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because it wasn't obvious. It wasn't obvious.
Because I just saw something in chat that I really hope's not true because someone in chat spoiled something incredibly bad.
Oh shit!
Please do not put spoilers.
Yeah, don't put spoilers in chat
out there. Like, I'm pretty sure I just found out who's eliminated in the top 4, and I'm a little pissed about it.
Well, that's just I'm not going to read it, but it's someone's opinion. If you want spoilers, there's a place for it. Go to Reality Fan Forum. Go for it. Have fun with the toxic universe in Reality Fan Forum. All right. They are like the Big Brother fans of Amazing Race. You know, the annoying people who think they know shit but don't. All right, so Chelsea and Robin were almost 2 hours behind Steve and Annalie, and you see Steve and Annalie drive past them while they're kind of looking at the monoculars, just for a time reference. Joel and Garrett waiting for a bike task. They just couldn't wait for a bike task, and then they walk half the time. Steve and Annalie finished a flower task, but their receipts, we talked about that. And I said it was very unlike Annalie to get thrown off her game, but I think that was because of the U-turn. So that was like a mental mistake on her part. But we learned that she did ask. So was it a mistake? I don't know. I guess not. We'll have to talk to her. We'll definitely go over that when we have her on the show. I love the brick task puts teams in the middle of this traffic and the chaos because there is nothing more overwhelming in this city than the traffic and the chaos that is.
Justin, I don't remember. Did Diana do balloons or did you? Because that's terrifying.
Yeah, I did the balloons. That's when the girls got really like touched and yeah, I would have.
But like going through traffic in India when you're on not something that's motorized with protection is terrifying.
Yeah, and then but then you have like it was not fun. But India. I mean, we had a great time in India, but
I did not.
yeah, obviously. Let's see, Leah. I'm just trying to get through all the notes so we can get to all the good stuff. All right, Liam and Jeremy had the worst driver by far, but everybody had a bad driver, and I think they lacked the most hustle out of every team left. Even the Philly Johns were putting in more hustle than Liam and Jeremy. Lena being spicy as Morgan and Lena are going at it over tying bundles. We talked about that in the beginning of the race. If you're just joining us.
But again, I think people are giving them too much shit because I'm going to defend them like I defended Brooke in season 29. Is I don't care if you're like crying, yelling, arguing, as long as you're still working on the task.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, just get the emotions out as you're going. Just don't stop to do it.
Because it's like we're real people. The shit is stressful.
And your
100%.
sisters.
We all did that.
Sisters.
We have a lot of teams on our season that like are very good at communicating with like small amounts of words. Like Greg and John are not giving soliloquies while they're like Rob and Corey are not going to be going like back and forth with each other. Like Annalie and Steve are like the closest thing we have with come on dad to like the way that we communicate, and everybody else isn't sitting there like going at it with their partners. So we're fine. Like if you have siblings, you love us. If you don't, you're like, why do you talk so much while you're doing things?
And again, everyone had a fight, even if it's not shown on TV.
Oh,
Had
yeah.
a fight. I'm sure there's a fight of Jen and Christy out there yelling at each other, and I'd pay for that footage.
I only show one from Thailand when I yell at her in the back of a. Also for anyway.
The next time we have producers on, remind me to ask them what they do if they still archive, if they have this footage somewhere, if it's deleted. If it's archived, I want to get.
Still have it for sure.
The 35 seasons archived. They got to.
Gotta be.
Got to.
I mean, that's thousands of hours of footage. Yeah. It'd be cool. All right, Joel and Garrett get lost riding their bikes that they couldn't wait to ride. Then they stop and drink the magic water, and everything becomes clear again. One thing people don't realize when you're sitting at home drinking is that when you're on the race and you're trying to win, you don't think about stupid things like water or peeing or pooping or eating. You just go.
Let me tell you what happened to Morgan and I on that same exact day, so we understand where Garrett and Joel were coming from. Is we started off, we had these like almost like double a water bottle, like refillable containers, so they're flat, and then you fill them up with water. Me and Morgan had both of ours. By the time we got to the flowers, we had already drank all of our water because it was that hot.
We were filling it up with Gatorade, with water. We were popping electrolytes. Let me tell you what's so fascinating.
We're literally yelling like we need water, and like Garrett and Joel, they just showed Garrett and Joel's adventure with water, but everybody was like fighting for water all day.
Here's the thing:
you get so into the motion, you forget about it until it's too late.
Yes, and here's one of our cameramen. He gave us a great piece of advice. He was like, "You need to feel like you have to pee a little bit. If you do not feel like you can pee a little bit, you need to be drinking water." He is dehydrated. So he's like, if you feel like, because you're literally like, what's amazing to me is that on camera, people don't look that sweaty.
Oh, you're soaked.
We were drenched.
Yeah, you're soaked.
Like for us, I'm amazed that people don't look crazy because we look crazy in real life doing that. But like we were downing water as often as possible and eating. We brought a bunch of electrolyte gels and tablets. And we would be popping those all day because it was
that's smart. Yeah,
I brought electrolytes with me too, the little tabs.
And for those of you who don't know, it's one of the few things.
How gross you are on the race. Like I was talking to some people recently because they found out, like some new people came to Memphis and they found out. So I was talking to them and they're like, "So like, how do you shower and how do you stay clean?" I was like, "You don't." I was like, "You're just gnarly towards the end of the race. Like you're just a disgusting human being towards the end of the race."
Oh yeah. Washing clothes in a bathtub.
Yeah, like your clothes are less dirty, like you wash them in the bathtub and the water's no longer black, it's just brown, and you're like, good enough, put it on.
No, you know how you think that you're doing a good job of washing your clothes, though? You're like, oh yeah, but then when you get home from the race and you put all your clothes in a washer machine and you get them out, you're like,
I had to wash my clothes.
Wow, my hand washing is dreadful.
It's in a sink with a packet of soap. It's like
hand washing is not a joke. That is an exhausting
It
task.
really is.
Well, you have to do it like immediately after you finish a lead because
Uh-huh.
otherwise your clothes won't
So
be
your
dry.
shit
by the time you
dries.
leave.
Yeah, exactly. You have to air dry it. And if you're in any place that's humid, shit doesn't air dry.
Nope.
You're better off putting it on your
I burn
body.
holes
It'll
in
dry on your
clothes.
body.
sleeping rather. Yeah.
So yeah, and that's the worst part is that's one thing that really people don't realize is after you just ran this, especially like a double lead, you just ran it, you're exhausted.
Oh, you're just
So like you get to the
disgusting.
hotel and you're like, well, it's time to do laundry.
It sucks. It
So,
sucks.
James Earl, I want you to think about this for a second. There's a question. Can you explain the mental impact of dehydration? But before you do that, Justin Ho dropped his first super chat. Now, I don't really it's not for a money or a value thing. I just have a question. If that's 50 Singapore dollars, that's 75 cents. I appreciate it, but I just wanted to give you the props. If it was like 50,
Justin, you said you were accepting all money.
I am. I'm just saying, because somebody wrote in chat something about holy cow, but I appreciate everything, and for you to be donating from Singapore, I understand that things are totally different there. So thank you so much. I appreciate the support throughout the years. It seems like you've been watching. So thank you very much, and your name is pretty awesome. All right, Justin. So mental impact of dehydration, James Earl.
Well, it's not great. So there's just a lot of things that happen. So as you're sweating, you're actually losing more free water than you are electrolytes. You're losing a little bit of both, but you lose more free water than you do electrolytes. So your electrolytes in your blood get all types of out of whack, which when those get out of whack, it can make you a little more confused. On top of that, too, you're losing a lot of blood flow back through the venous system. So your veins are the ones that kind of are the first things to kind of lose fluid when you lose a lot of fluid. So you're not bringing as much fluid back to your heart. And when people get really dehydrated, they kind of drop how much blood they're pumping through their heart. And that's why people pass out. So you're fighting against gravity, trying to get all that stuff back to your heart, back to your brain. So when you get really dehydrated, you kind of lose that. You lose how much blood your heart is pumping through. That's why people black out. It's why they get confused. It's not great. Staying hydrated is one of the most important things, but it's also a balance of getting enough water plus enough solutes, right? So you need the Gatorade, but you also need free water too, because you're losing more free water than you are electrolytes.
So potato chips and water.
I would even say Gatorade and water. Mixing those two is probably the best, 1 and 1. You need free water, but you also need Gatorade. So you chugging the Gatorade is not great either.
Gotcha.
There's a lot of sugar in Gatorade, and that's also going to dehydrate you as well.
To put in perspective, when we were in Vietnam, I saw a lot of people writing, why isn't Morgan doing the tiles? I almost keeled over. What they didn't show in that specific leg was from going from the fish stand to the pagoda was a pretty long run, and we were sprinting. The pagoda was all smoke. It was I almost passed out there. And if you watch the video, Lena was trying to stay hydrated. We were at the tiles for, I don't know, over an hour. I was still chugging water when Lena got her tile. That's how dehydrated I was.
And the real dangerous thing too is when you get so dehydrated too, your body also starts to vomit, and then you really circle the drain.
Yeah, that's when the IV
made the decision as a team before we even knew what the other activity was. Because Morgan was so red in the face, and it was just very clear that she was getting closer to having a heat stroke or going through dehydration, that I was I have to do whatever this task is in front of us. We don't have a choice here. You can't compete if you're passed out. That's 1 and 2 don't go together. So I mean, we really felt for Garrett and Joel while they were looking for water, because that had been us in multiple places and us at that same point during the day. I mean, we were out of water within 2 hours, and we pack a lot of water every day.
So a team that was filmed similar right around I think your season or 36, the Amazing Race Australia had a team competing in India around the same time, and one of the teams passed out and had to get doctors. They had to get he was he was
you don't
in the
want to go
hospital
over,
for
it's you don't want to go over, because then you don't want to put yourself out. You want to.
And then we had 2 different types of electrolytes. We had salt tablets, and then we had gel that was just way more, I guess, like complex than what it was giving us. And so when we were in India, that's when we started to use our gel tablets to try and make it through the whole day. Like we were like, let's break out the big boys because this is hot.
Yes. Hot. You definitely stay hydrated. It's super important on the race. And as you could see from Joel and Garrett, just drinking the water made all the difference, cleared his mind, his vision changed. He was ready to go. You could see it in his face, the clear change right after from shot to shot. And we did figure it out as like 36.86. So thank you, Logan, the world traveler. Follow Logan Super Kawaki and his wild adventures. He's been to more countries than Jeff Probst. All right.
Justin, someone said Singapore dollars are like Canadian dollars. So.
Yeah, so yeah, thank you, Justin Ho. You are a gentleman and a scholar, and we will be on an unfinished business or the next All-Star season, because you can't have an All-Star season without us. Period.
I would love to race for y'all. I would love to do it.
Oh my goodness, please.
I'm voting for Justin at the U-turn board.
Yeah, listen. Steve and Annalie are the second team to ever survive a single U-turn. The first team to ever do it was season 27, Paparazzi.
What team was eliminated that led, Justin?
The team I tried to help with the U-turn. Sorry. All right, so all right, so these places were close. One, the textile place was 0.3 miles. The other one was 1.4 miles. If people were wondering. The next part after that was 2.7 miles. Let's get to the good stuff. The roadblock. We're here at the roadblock where people had to get these stamps. Boom, boom, 4 stamps on top of each other 9 times. Some people are great at this. Some teams sucked at this. And there was a clear line here where if you were good, you were good, and you're out there and you're in the top 3. And if you sucked, you were just gone.
I loved this roadblock though, because there's a lot of different strategies to how you can do this. And I liked roadblocks that aren't very just like linear. So some teams you saw, they would put like 14 stamps on the board and saying like, oh, maybe I'll get 5 of them. Or some would just do 9 and be like, hopefully I just did all 9 and be done. Or some teams like really meticulously did, and some just try to churn it out and see which ones they did as a pass check off. I love challenges like that.
Production and our cameramen were giving me the wackiest looks when I started making the peacocks. Like they were trying to hold in their laughter because they could not understand my strategy. They were just like, she doesn't want to finish the sheet and then get a check. They were like, don't you want to? And I'm like, no. I'm like, they're looking at me, they're laughing, and I'm like, watch me do this extraordinarily fast. And I think when we got there, all the teams were there. I think Greg and John were just getting in their rickshaw to leave, so they had just gotten their final check, I think. But it was when me and Morgan walked into stamp making and we saw that it was an arts and crafts challenge, even though we got our asses kicked in vinyl. When we saw another arts and crafts challenge up on the board, we were like, oh, wow, we're going to end the day with a bang right now.
So there was a couple teams that crushed it. Greg got 6 on his first try. That's impressive in itself, and then just finished it on his second try. Lena, obviously, you went in there and crushed it and jumped a couple places because of how fast you did it. Annalie this is where Annalie confronts the teams. This is what was the big drama outside here. While everybody's waiting and stamping their hands and pop and getting black and blues, there's a couple teams said that their hands were black and blue. I know Joel and Garrett said it on their podcast. Todd and Ashley were like pop, and they were hitting it. But the real popping was on the stairs as Annalie's fangs came out. Did you vote for me? Did you vote for me? And then some teams will admittedly say yes. Why would you admit it?
People don't appreciate good TV. Me and Morgan have been giving great TV, and Annalie was giving great TV as she walked around and said, did you vote for me? But the thing is, everybody who voted for Steve and Annalie already knew that Annalie was going to ask. Yeah, that's just her personality. So I just loved when Andrea was like, no.
Yeah.
No. And then Garrett and Joel, like as a team, one person stamping, and it feels like you would probably, I don't know if they talked about it before, but they just like fessed up to it. And I think if I voted for Steve and Annalie, you can't tell Annalie, or she's like you're on her radar for the remainder of the race.
The way she looked at Joel and Garrett, like the eye, he was like, "We coming after you," and he was like, and she was like,
I'm serious.
"I ain't laughing, bro."
She's not. I mean, she's serious. She's a serious racer, and so she made it clear that she did not appreciate anybody U-turning her.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: if you're a serious racer,
get it, Jen.
She needs to know, because she's good. She is a good racer, and here's what comes with being a good racer: people want you gone.
Right.
Like, I just the like conflict here, I just don't understand, because it's not the first time that we've seen her be like, why won't they help me? Why isn't someone helping you? Like, you're winning the whole damn thing. Like, you're good at this. You don't deserve help because you're too good. So you're gonna get U-turned. People aren't gonna help you. It comes with the territory. You got to get used to it. And
I think our cast was very close. And so I think in their point of view, they're like, look, we're not going to get knocked out if you turn us, So like, what's the point? Why wouldn't you protect yourself, basically, So I think it was more so like,
you got to take the shot when you have the shot.
I would say it dropped them a lot. I think if they didn't have
let's just point it out.
More than any little mistake that they'll make, more than her forgetting to finish a damn detour. Like, the people U-turning them was a good decision. Yeah. In my opinion.
Like, I don't know. Like, I felt like U-turning Annalie and Steve was an emotional decision. Like, the day before, because we knew the U-turn board was coming up, we said to ourselves, like, U-turning Steve and Annalie is emotional because, yes, you think that, like, it's gonna affect them mentally, but they had way too big of a lead, and we all knew the lead that they have. And even if you're closing in the lead, like, in this whole season, there's a lot of like bottleneck points. Like, even the stamp making ended up being a bottleneck point.
But listen, Annalie is good. Steve is scary. Steve shotguns his roadblocks. He's like, I don't even know what I'm doing wrong. I'm just going to do a whole bunch of them. We'll see if I get it, and maybe I'll get it, and maybe I won't. And he's done that more than one time.
Yeah.
He did that in Vietnam as well with the flowers, the bouquets. And he did that with the peacocks. So, like, people had an opportunity to knock them back, and they fell 5 positions with this decision. And like James Earl is saying, he ended up out of the race because of a bad cab from the previous leg, not even that specific leg. So these things accumulate, especially now that we're back to more traditional race format. They accumulate from leg to leg. So I don't know what's going to happen. I can't wait to watch and find out, because I love this season and I love all the teams.
Yeah. It's an awesome season.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, you gotta,
there was no,
you're at the top.
I feel like it's funny because I texted Greg and John and Corey when we saw the U-turn board, because I didn't make it to where we usually watch together. Or I texted Greg, John, and Corey, and they were like, man, but we get to go to New Zealand, so it was the right decision. So, like,
totally. They want to trip.
I agree with you, Jen. I think it all depends on where you're at in the race, right? Because for us, we needed a vote. And so when I saw that Chelsea and I were 1 vote away, I was like,
did they did they tell you what would happen if it was a tie?
Could it have been a tie?
That's a good
possibly to be a tie.
If one other team,
that's true.
If one team didn't vote for Steve and Annalie and voted for somebody else, it would have been a tie between. Yeah.
Maybe it would have been a double U-turn. Never know.
Yeah, I'll have to text them. I'll see if he answers.
I was shocked by how close the voting was, to be honest.
I was shocked by how close the voting was. I think we knew where people's relationships lied, and we knew that people were going to vote based off of their emotion of trying to knock down first place. And I think that, like, for the people that were all the way up in the front, like Greg and John, like, voting for Steve and Annalie could make sense because you get the trip to New Zealand if all works out well.
And you put a buffer, right? But to Jen's point, it accumulates. So it was the right decision for a lot of teams. For us, it didn't help us. We had to help ourselves. What would have helped us was if Chelsea and Robin automatically went home. That's what would have helped us. But that was
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like for U-turns, like you could also strategically, like you could touch a team somewhere in the middle and
That's where I
like
think you're going to see it go to in the future. Like a Todd
Yeah.
and Ashley in the future is who's going to get U-turned. Because like they're a consistent team, but they're consistent in the middle. So if we just knock their knee out, little Tanya Harding them, they'll do it.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm just saying that's why I say it's based off of emotions, because I think if you were to put this in like a little computer simulator and look at all the seasons, you can't really do a what if, right? Which is why it's impossible to
Yeah.
truly have this conversation. But I think those teams that are not the weakest, but somewhere right in the middle make the most sense to U-turn if you're not competing for number one, because you're still going to have the teams that are at the end stay at the end. And then you're going to have another team that wouldn't be at the end now competing with all these teams at the end. And all that matters every week is, do I get eliminated or not? So you need as many buffers on the backside rather than the front side, because once you do that last final leg, like everybody's like, for the most part, starting off at the same leg. If you're racing for the $1 million, like,
Yeah, there's not a lot of advantage in leg 12 or 13.
Right.
yeah, you're getting the same chance, right? So like, I just think that it's always better to play for the longer game of making sure you don't get eliminated if you get that bad taxi driver, if you get amazing race loss, what I call it, like I just think buffers are more important, but people forget about buffers when they're in the front of the race.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's finish this up and get to some things. I want to give quick shout out to Jeff Young. Thank you so much. He dropped 20 banger on the Venmo. He skipped YouTube's 40% fees and went straight to Venmo. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Sydney Wigglesworth, thank you for another $20. I really, really appreciate your continued support. It means a lot. Thank you. All right, so teams must make their way to the pit stop. Greg and John finally win a trip. They look looking strong, looking confident. Are they peaking at the right time? They've been pretty good throughout this race. You can't really knock them. 3-3, and then that little 8-8. But then 2-1. So 3-3, little 8-8, 2-1. They could have some task that drops them all the way to the bottom and they're gone. That's the type of team it looks like they are. They're either hit or miss. But when they're strong, they're really strong. And speaking of pretty steady, Rob and Corey have been steady the whole time, man. They are 2-2-3, 6-6-2. So not too bad. Joel and Garrett are all over the place. When they're 7-9-2, 9-3-3. Morgan and Lena, another team all over. 4-4-6, 10-9-4. You guys are roller coastering up and down and up and down. And
Yeah.
It's fine. It happens to the best of us, Morgan and Elena.
Yeah.
It happened to me and Mom. We were at the
You
top
tried.
or the top or the bottom.
the most consistent team so far has been
Ashley.
Todd and Ashley.
Done.
5-5-4-3-5-5. So they're right around there. So
I will say that team is so lucky these episodes are 90 minutes. If they weren't 90 minutes, we'd have no idea who Todd and
Yeah.
Ashley are.
literally, because they've been in
3
the
minutes of screen time each episode, and that would be it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is shocking because they're hilarious.
Sorry to interrupt, but my family is beckoning for me. and so
I
need
figured
to
we
do
were
that.
running late. I appreciate you sticking
Sorry,
around. Thanks.
Yeah.
Jen,
But
give us
I will text you my LOL so you can still give the award.
Perfect.
Morgan, Lena, it was so nice to meet you. You're
So
kicking
nice
ass.
to
I
meet
was
you.
so impressed. I didn't get to say this previously, but with the plate of bugs that you had to eat,
Oh.
I really was truly impressed. That was so many nasty little creatures, and it was awesome. So
Thank you.
good luck the rest of the season. I'm excited
Thank
to
you
watch.
so much. Thank you.
Yeah, so let's finish up this episode
Thanks,
recap so
guys.
we can get to that. All right, so yes, and going home are the team that we love, the beautiful boys, Liam and Jeremy, the most
Very handsome.
Oh, they're
overpacked.
gorgeous. They're gorgeous.
Oh,
I'm sure
God,
they're
yeah.
wonderful people.
They
Yeah.
are.
No, they're very, very nice. They're
Yeah.
very nice in real
In
life.
incredible shape. If you follow him on Instagram, he just posted a picture of what his legs look like. Jesus Christ, he's got like muscles on top
How
of
many
muscles.
people on this season run marathons and do Ironmans and blah blah? Like me and Morgan sit at a computer all day and type.
All right, so let's get to it. James Earl, what do you got for me? Seal Clap Award. For those of you who don't know what the Seal Clap is, it is now on the screen. This is what the Seal Clap came from. James Earl did this quite a few times on The Amazing Race when he was excited.
Listen, I was just like tired and exhausted, and somehow it just stuck. And then they put it on like every episode. My seal clap, I actually did not even think about my seal clap for the week. And it's gonna seem like I'm being a little biased, but I'm not. I'm giving my seal clap to Morgan and Lena.
Uh-oh.
Coming up from 9th to 4th and like rushing it. And it's just like those little chips along the way. And like every time, it's just a little seal clap. Just every single task, they were just like a little higher and a little higher and a little higher. And it's just seal clap.
Thank you.
There
We
wasn't
appreciate you.
there wasn't too many things in this episode that I think like a super fan would do. One of the things that I really appreciated and I want to be more of a super fan thing was the effects of the ability of stopping and drinking the water, of understanding your body's about to give out. You can't continue, stupid. Go drink some water and you'll be fine. Like, I think something like that for him truly changed the whole leg for him.
Yep.
So doing something simple like stopping in the middle of chaos when you're in a race,
Yeah.
drinking a cold water and just taking that, 3 or 4x 5 minutes may save you 20-30 minutes on the other end. So
And I think it gives for the viewers a real understanding of how much we're working.
Oh yeah.
oh god.
Like
100%.
I said, you can't see how sweaty we really are. You can't see how much.
Robin was doing the printmaking, and Robin's entire shirt was covered in sweat. Just
Yeah,
like
you're disgusting.
from
It's
top
hot.
to bottom.
And
I
again,
was
people don't realize too is like they loved it, that little infographic of like teams fly from South America to Paris, and it's like 2 whole seconds. And what they don't show you is that's 36 hours of flight, and then you're racing.
yeah. Getting your only sleep is on a plane. All right, so next week is called Like Two Cats Fighting in a Car. This is going to be interesting. The self-drive is back, baby. And this is when teams can get spicy because they're in a car alone, driving. One person's messing up, and it's just the two. I can't drive in
Why
now.
is it one person? It could be both people.
It could be.
both people messing
Well, there's
up.
only one mean older sister. Let's be honest.
No.
They were calling us the Chaos Sisters before.
We'll
I
find
think
out.
they're gonna have a field day.
Oh, I can't wait. So Todd and Ashley are
It's gonna be like Chaos Sisters.
Todd and
Oh,
Ashley
man.
kicking soccer balls against the dartboard. Steve said, "You're going to sit your ass back here and ride in a minute." Dude was about to step his foot down, but I'll give Annalie. She said, "No, Ma, you sit back here and navigate, Pops."
I love Annalie. I'm just saying,
She's...
she
Yeah,
is- I called it preseason. I said she's gonna be a firecracker. But
She is a
instead I called
firecracker.
it Southern women that did beauty pageants. You don't mess with those people.
And according to Morgan and Lena, they also might be having some issues in their car. We cannot wait to see what happens. So, is there doing prep for your season? What did you do to prep for the season?
Well, I was in charge of packing our backpacks, and I want to say that the only people that had smaller backpacks than us this season were Greg and John, who
only had snacks in their
who only
backpack.
had snacks in their backpack. There was nothing else in there.
Lena. you
Jacket?
forgot about Jocelyn, who didn't have a backpack. So they win. Jocelyn and Victor. Jocelyn did not have a
We
backpack.
didn't have a backpack.
Greg and
Just-
John only had snacks in their backpack, and we had the next smallest backpack. So
Wow, you guys did.
And if I could rewind the hands of time, like if I was going on the race again, I would have tried to pack half as much as
We
we
have
did.
said
pack.
it
I mean,
every season on Racers Recap. Whatever you pack your bag and then take literally half of it out because you're not coming home with that half anyways.
and I think what's tough, especially as women, like we just have like more grooming stuff that we need, especially as like Black women, hair care. Like there was more that we had to take with us. But we packed really light.
Do rags don't take up much time. Come on, we know you just wrap your hair at night with your silk scarf or your do rag. I got you.
My hair braided for the
I
show.
had
and
curls.
are
I
actually
mean, it was a mess.
Yeah, braids are the way to go.
Yeah.
But
I
let me
mean,
tell
braids
you,
were the way to go.
all I'm gonna say is the one thing I wish we had done more.
Listen to the
unless
races
you've lived
recap.
in other countries. Actually, how do I say this? We are very dependent on our cell phones, period, to do everything. And it's a little scary. So being without our daily crutches is really tough. And so knowing how to truly get around without it is like be a good skill to have.
Yeah.
It's
That's fair.
a good
Like
skill.
drop your cell phone and try to get from place to place.
By the time I think what becomes more apparent though is once you're like apply and you're in the running for the show, and you guys know this, like you can only work on so many skills between now and then. Like this is really like an IQ thing. This is a lot of racers talk about like what they did to prep, and I listened to a lot of people's podcasts trying to get an idea of not what it was like to race by watching prior seasons, but what racers were saying it was like to race. And I think there's actually a lot that I don't know if it's like because racers think they're going to get on for the next season, that I think some people are holding on to like, if I was going to do this differently, I'm not actually going to tell you in the podcast.
Well, that's why you have to listen to us. I literally, there's no other podcast. I'm not saying this just to blow smoke up.
I listen to your podcast.
This is the only podcast where you'll literally get the information you need. Like you'll get everything you
give
need.
a lot of good advice. We do.
Everything you'll need for the Amazing Race.
Look, what I will say is,
I have
Lena,
five things though that I would do differently if I was going on the race again. So to prep, like Morgan and I really like, especially in the weeks before the race, like we were both working out. We were making sure that we were watching getting the lightest items that were going in there. We were trying to understand where was it most likely that we would start the race and end the race. Like we were trying to understand what are the countries that they go to the most. Can we learn some basic things about
I had Chat GPT doing a whole lot of work. So I had it telling me like what are the key phrases we should be asking for? What are the key countries in terms of where they're visited? What are, I don't know, just like basic things for us to know in general. But I think Lena's obsession with packing was really, really important because we had everything that we needed. We didn't want for anything. We had our electrolytes. We had the right water bag. We had compression socks. We had our note, like we just had everything that we needed.
Longest
laundry detergent packets.
Oh yeah, we had the laundry detergent sheets.
The sheets that are like this
Good
big.
to go.
I mean, there was
we
no
had the
way to
little
go
Tide
smaller.
packs.
And when I say I would cut our bags in half, is there is a totally different way that I would pack for this race. And there's 10 different things that I would do that I did not do for preparing this time for the race. But I think you can really only know that once you've kind of gone through. That's why I think in the seasons where they have teams that come back, that has to be the scariest thing ever.
Oh, 100%. Because everyone has those thoughts.
Then you have time to self-reflect, kind of like the season that got, like the COVID half and half. So they got to understand what it was like to race, and then they got to re-prep for the race. There's nothing else like it. So we did a lot of prepping, but I think the teams that had the most advantages were the teams that truly had traveled and driven in cities before and could understand like navigation to a different level.
Yeah, it makes a big difference. So if you were going to go on the race, is there, again, if there was ever a time that you were going to go on a race again, I'm going to give you one packing tip better than any packing tip you'll ever hear ever again, besides bringing one bag because you only need one. Don't pack winter stuff.
No.
Spoiler alert. If you're ever in wintertime and they take you to cold places and they don't think that you have enough gear, they will give it to everybody. They'll give everybody jackets. They'll give everybody hats. They'll give everybody sweaters.
Justin, I agree with you, but there was one episode, I can't remember the season. There was one episode where it was the cheese wheels, and they had those people out in the snow, those racers out in the snow moving those cheese wheels, and they definitely got no extra clothes. Like it was crazy. They were in their regular racing outfits fighting through the snow. But Morgan and I, in terms of like warmth, we brought this incredibly like light puffer jacket, but that was really because we know we might be on cold plains.
It was cold as hell at airports.
It weighed almost nothing, and like we just decided not to pack for winter clothes. So if there was winter, we were
like one pair of Spanx and one like long sleeves thin under
exactly.
I knew if I waited long enough, he'd text me back. I got the answer about the U-turn if it was a tie. Woohoo! But first, Jen Hudax, that's a tease. LOL moment goes to Todd and Corey. Todd and Corey? For their attempt to work together, to clear the rickshaws. But they were pushing opposite against each other. I got you. And I love how I think Todd said, "Oh, you're pushing the wrong way. Okay, I'll go this way." I think he said that.
Me and Morgan were clearing rocks in the way that the rickshaw didn't actually have to go. They didn't show it like that, but Morgan and I were throwing rocks around just to push our rickshaw forward.
Yeah. All right, team, I've got to wrap it up because I've got to go.
All right, let's wrap this up. Here's your final answer. Both teams would have been U-turned.
Ooh.
That would have been dope.
That would have been dope. And I think if teams
That
knew
would've
that
been
going in, they could have
incredible.
planned it.
That would have been fascinating to watch, though.
Yeah.
But like for instance, we didn't know that as racers.
Nobody
we
knew
didn't know
that. It's never
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, did you get a triple U-turn? There's 9 teams, a 3-3-3 tie. Oh, this
Oh.
shit should get deep.
This is gonna get deep. Maybe I shouldn't have said that shit. I'm sorry if you watch
We
it.
gotta go. This is a long
All right.
episode.
I love you guys. I appreciate y'all. Thank you
Thank
so
you
much
for having us.
You are family now, so
Pleasure.
you're welcome. Anytime you got something to clear up, you're here. If you need me, we're always here. Thank you so much for spending your time here with us. We know time is the most valuable thing that you have, and for you to spend any of it here with us means the world. We are a bunch of race nerds talking about our favorite TV show with a bunch of people who enjoy it with us. We're living the dream, making $20 from Arnold DeLeon and the crew. So thank you for all that you do. We appreciate you.
Thank you, team. Thank y'all for watching.
Thank
Bye,
you.
Dave.
Okay, last thing
Thank you,
too. Thank you
Emma.
for cheering for us on the race. We're like Morgan and I are just so happy to be racing, and
Yes.
we love it.
Hey, and I love y'all's tweets. I will tweet at you back, and I love it. It's my favorite Thursday activity. So please,
Yeah.
tell me how you feel, and I'll message you back.
I love it. All right. I'll put their info in the description down below so you can tweet at them. Thank you, guys.